On April 17, 2005, the state chapter in New Jersey celebrated its fifth class to be honored by the National Wrestling Hall of Fame with a Lifetime Service to Wrestling Award presented to Coach John M. Allen. Coach Allen began his lifetime commitment to wrestling some 50 years ago at St. Benedict's Prep School. Coach Allen coached 30 individual champions and 7 national prep champions, the foremost being Mike Caruso, who recorded an 81 wins to 0 loss high school record before earning 3 NCAA championships at Lehigh University. John is an exceptional individual. He has devoted his life in working with young people through athletics, teaching the skills and attitudes fundamental for success in sports, but more importantly, teaching his wrestlers how to win with humility and lose with grace and dignity. Coach Allen has always enjoyed the reputation of being a gentleman coach who brought credit to his profession, teams, schools, community, and family. And now, here is Coach Allen, who will instruct us on skills.
Read a list of memos related to takedowns. Number one, you have to dummy takedowns to reinforce timing, smoothness, confidence, as well as refresh memory as to the tiny details of the takedown moves. Number two, a good stance has to be developed because it's so essential to execution. Three, we tell the kids to not watch the eyes of the opponent, look at no one thing in particular, in fact, yet see his hands and his feet. Their location and movement will tell much of the story as to what's next for you and from him. So it's the hands and the feet that have to be kept an eye on without looking at any one thing in particular. Don't be ashamed. Number four, shoot. The longer you wait, the tougher it is to convince yourself you should. And you've got to believe in what you're doing. Consider the turtle. He never makes any progress till he sticks his neck out. So you got to go. Number five, approach at different levels. We indicate that there are at least 3 levels, perhaps a 4th level, low. But there's going in high, working on upper body moves, middle of body moves, and then attack moves down low. And the approach should be made at the various levels where the opponent is vulnerable. Number 6, don't always go when the opponent expects you to come. Go when he least expects. For example, when you or he is getting back up after a futile takedown tried by either party. Number 7, shoot to get. Clean shots only. Take that much time to set the takedown up. Don't just go for the sake of going. Number 8, you can't afford to get caught on mere attempts, especially repeatedly. Complete the takedown, get wrist control, and come out. Don't waste time and energy. The longer you wait to complete a takedown once inside, the tougher it gets to accomplish the feat. Number 9, the best don't miss. Confidence is the single most important ingredient in any takedown success. So you've got to believe in what you're doing and do it very confidently. Number 10. Number 10, when going to lock up, elbow in front of own chest as you tie up with your opponent. As you reach up to tie up, it's never elbow out. Your elbows stay close to your ribs in this sport throughout the contest. Don't leave yourself vulnerable as you reach to lock. Number 11, don't be leaning or pushing when you're in tie-up unless you have some worthwhile purpose. Number 12, don't stay in static positions. When you tie up, vary your tie-up and don't stay in any one tie-up too long. Head to shoulder and forehead to forehead are defense positions. Keep your head clear from contact so as to be able to dip and penetrate. Don't lock too tightly, it's too restrictive, since only headlock and heel pick are available. And at the end of a bout, don't allow an opponent to cling and then seal your own defeat by doing so. Number 13. If you don't, he will, he did, is a common comment made by myself through the years. When you you have an opportunity, you have to take advantage of that opportunity. You've got to beat the opponent to the punch. Otherwise, he's going to come back at you, take advantage of your vulnerability. Number 14, two parts to it. Play your own strengths and/or offset opponent's strengths. Don't show weakness, but look for weakness, look for flaws. And part B, don't be too tentative. Don't be looking at it too long, wondering about it. You've got to actually do. Shoot enough and go deep enough. Penetrate with confidence. Make serious effort to get the takedown. Take what he offers while it's there to be had. Some of the comments that we've made through the years. And number 15, takedowns outside the circle count against, in that they waste energy and give away intent. And 16, we can find it here. 16, one of the optimal moments for clamping on a pin grip is on a takedown. So be alert, be aggressive. The opponent is very vulnerable when he's having points scored on him, when he's resisting the attempt to score on him. So take advantage, take full advantage. And number 17, a thought to keep in mind, make your final takedown effort your very best every day at practice, so that at bout, when in need, the occurrence of extra fine execution, despite haggard condition perhaps, will be routine. And a final thought, go for takedowns early enough in a given period, when you can, to allow escape time in the event of need. Should such takedown effort fail you, the opponent gets behind, you want to leave yourself time to get at least 1 point back. Over what we're going to do, and then we go. All right, the first of the takedowns that we're going to cover will be barrel roll, which is one of our primary attack moves. On barrel, like on any penetration move, we want to drop our hips down vertically, and in this move we step between the feet, glide in deeply, looking for an inside grip on the knee, leg, and an arm grip, an upper arm grip, a very firm and tight upper arm grip. Now to execute the barrel itself, if the opponent sprawls, we pull down on the arm, pull in on the knee, do a little high leg over action, more so than a sit-through action. And then we reach up on the waist and press downward to keep the opponent off his base. This allows his return to base. And then with the opponent putting an overhook in most cases, it would make it tough for us to get our head out. So to facilitate getting our head out, we run our feet around toward his feet, switch hips, pop our head, and then come back perpendicular to get a 2 upper arms tight pin grip. Once again, we drop our hips down, penetrate between the feet of the opponent, go for an inside barrel grip. We're going to pull in on the knee a little bit when he sprawls so he can't spread his feet wide. Pull down in the arm, do high leg over action. Reach up for the waist area to press downward so the opponent cannot recover his base once we've dumped him. And then we run our feet around toward our opponent's feet, switch hips so we can slip our head out easily, and then come perpendicular and get 2 upper arms. One more time, facing the opposite direction to get a better look at the arm grip. We penetrate, glide in deeply. We get that good firm grip on the upper arm, good grip on the knee area. Pull in on the knee, pull down on the arm, high leg over action, take opponent off his base, reach up for the waist area, run our feet around toward his feet, switch hips, slip our head out, and back perpendicular to get a pin grip. Barrel roll is designed for more than just getting takedown points. It's designed to get a pin grip, and standard 2 upper arms pin grip is what we generally follow up with. Now, if the opponent, when we penetrate, happens as we dump him to get his second arm under, which would endanger us, we will continue with the barrel if we're committed to it, but we won't go to 2 upper arms as our finish. As we run our feet around, our head is already in a position where we can slip it out easily. We go right for a headlock. So if the second arm comes under, we change off in our pin grip aspect of the takedown to a headlock pin grip. We run our feet around, pop our head, come perpendicular and get the headlock. If as we penetrate, the opponent uses what we call turn action to take us off balance, it would be a one-arm turn action in this case, then if we have to, we go with it and do what's called a Schrader move, to a little short drag action to get behind the arms. As we go in, if he attempts to do turn type action to take us off balance, we go with it if we have to, and we do Schrader action, come out the side door, and then do a little short drag and get a go behind to ensure his not being able to pivot in, we get behind his arms. Another item, if when we penetrate for a barrel, the opponent does not sprawl, if he happens not to sprawl, then we don't attempt barrel. If we don't have a good grip on his arm, or a good enough grip on his arm, we don't attempt barrel. Instead, we change the single head out, pull the opponent's knee into our chest so we can deepen greatly with our outside arm, change to a double leg drop grip, and then step up and pivot on our down knee to dump them with double leg drop action. One more time, facing the other way. If we go in on a barrel and the opponent fails to sprawl and or we don't get a sufficient grip on his upper arm, then we forget about barrel and we change off to single head out, pull the leg in, deepen with our outside arm, elbow deep, so we can get double leg drop, step up, pivot on our down knee, and dump them with double leg drop and look for a pin grip as soon as we dump. All right, wrestling moves have to be learned as complementary moves where they do exist, where they can be learned as such. And also you want to learn wrestling moves in series. If you can create a series of moves, that's ideal. And we're going to show now a barrel roll series that could be implemented by a good barrel roll man. First, there's the barrel roll itself. You just go in and do the dump action and then finish whatever way you have to. Then there's the barrel to double leg drop when the opponent fails to sprawl or you don't have a good enough grip on the arm. And now two more moves, one as a reaction to a possible reaction by the opponent. If he were to attempt a limp leg drag move, where he withdraws his leg and wants to drag, what you do is what we call reverse lead, reverse single head in. You throw your head to the inside and then attack that single leg. Instead of with barrel grip, you attack it with single leg head in, tight grip. One more time. A reverse lead is where you start to penetrate, you anticipate a limp leg drag action by the opponent, and you thrust your head to the inside, forgetting about barrel, and you attack the leg, single head in. And a fourth move in the series, to keep the opponent honest, since you've been going to his right leg, right leg, right leg, he'll perhaps and probably think you're coming that way again, and you can shoot a single to the other leg from the exact same stance. Different penetration step, you can step outside instead of inside, but still it's a very workable move as a complement to some of the other moves that you've executed within the series.
Done.
Fireman's carry is an offshoot of barrel roll, or vice versa. Barrel roll might be an offshoot of fireman's carry. I'm not sure which one's older. Probably fireman's carry. On fireman's carry from the knees, you have to be very quick so that you can penetrate and raise up enough to be able to execute the move. This is the fireman's carry from the knees. The opponent hasn't sprawled, and all you do is you lift them up off the mat and pivot, dump them, and you can come up into a reverse Nelson crotch as a finish. We do not put a lot of emphasis on fireman's carry from the knees. We tend to do barrel roll once we get inside or do a change-off move. But there are people who are very good at fireman's carry from kneeling. Fireman's carry from standing is an old move, still workable if you happen to have the position, happen to have practice the move sufficiently to be able to execute it. It's done from a tie-up. You have to have the inside grip. You take the same penetration step and do duck under type action and get your head under and behind his arm. You pull his arm down tight on your neck, and then you take your trail leg and bring the foot of that trail leg up behind your knees so you can sit without restriction and dump the man. One more time. Fireman's carry from standing. If you happen to have the inside grip, the tricep grip, you step between his feet, do a little bit of duck under action, get your head under and up behind his arm, pull his arm tight to your neck, and then you bring your trail foot up behind your knee so you can sit and lift the man. A small man can execute a fireman's carry that style on a very big man. It's pretty easy to execute even against weight. All right, another takedown that we'll go over, but we don't put a lot of emphasis on in season. We put more emphasis on it post-season, training for freestyle events, is a body lock throw. And we're going to do it where both men actually have the same grip. They both have an over-under grip. They each have a lock behind the other one's back. And what we do is shift around to the side of opponent, get our knee behind his knee, and then do an arch back throw. Typical lift and throw. And to lift, you have to squat, squeeze, pop your hips, and get him airborne. We'll face the other direction, do the same move. We hop around to the side, we get a little better position on the opponent, and then we do it. Oh, hold up. Grip, we each have the body lock, over-under grip, and the executor is going to hop around to the side to get the knee in behind his opponent so the man won't be able to step back and avoid the throw. And now we do an arch back and a throw. And we're in good position to follow up with a headlock or a revira. This takedown that we'll work on is a double leg drop. It's the first takedown that everybody that learns when they go out for the sport of wrestling. It's similar to a football tackle, but it's not the same as. On this double leg drop, we're going to drop our hips down vertically. We're going to penetrate by stepping between the opponent's feet and gliding in deep. And we're going to get grip on both legs if we can. We get the double leg drop grip. Our basic completion is to pivot on our down knee and dump with our head. We dump him off to the side. We stay away from his feet in case he's an elevator man, and we look for forearm or half Nelson to try to get a pin grip on him as a part of the completion of double leg drop. One more time, facing the other way. We're going to step between the opponent's legs, glide in deep, get a double leg drop grip, step up to the outside, pivot on our down knee, use our head and neck to dump our opponent off our shoulder. And at this stage, we're looking for more than just a takedown, we're looking for a pin grip. So we go for forearm, far upper arm, or half Nelson to put him on his back. Either way, we're going to get at least near fall points. As another completion to double leg drop, if you're in on a double and the opponent is very sturdy against the dump with their head, and you've strained to try to get him off your shoulder, what you can attempt is a loose out, where you let go with both hands, raise your foot off the mat, pivot on your down knee, and just come in behind. One more time. Giving him, so to speak, a limp shoulder. You're in on a double. He's very sturdy against the dump. You can't dump him. You're straining to dump him. So what you do instead is let go with both hands, raise your foot off the mat, pivot on your down knee, and let him fall forward, and then just slip in behind him to get the takedown points. A third completion to double leg drop. This is done only on rare occasions, only as a last resort. You're in on a double, and the opponent refuses to be dumped as you would wish to dump him. He's tilting his body to the other side. He's very vulnerable to being dumped toward your head, which we don't normally do because the opponent can effectively execute whizzer defensive action against the double. But if necessary, we dump toward the head by pulling in on the knee, dumping the hips off to the side, and then we hold that bottom knee with a good tenacious grip until we sense it's time to go up and swallow the opponent's head with a deep false half Nelson. putting our hand under our chest or upper abdomen area and trapping it against the opponent's body so that he can't bridge. One more time. If you're in on a double and you've tried to dump with your head, basic approach, the best approach, and he won't go, and you don't sense loose out is the alternative that should be executed. What you can do sometimes is dump him toward your head. If you do so, he has an opportunity to toss a whizzer in, and probably will, an overhook grip. And what you can do is hold the bottom knee tenaciously until you sense it's the optimal moment to go up and swallow his head with a deep false hand. Bring in your hand underneath your body in the upper abdomen area, lower chest area, and trapping it against his body so he can't bridge. A false half is that tight and that effective. A fourth completion to double leg drop is body lift. If you're in deep, quickly you've gotten in there, and he doesn't sprawl, you can bring him up into the air, get inside crotch grip, get half Nelson grip, all while you have him airborne, and then drop down to the knee nearest the head. That goes down first, and then you just lower him onto his back. You've got him in a half Nelson crotch pin grip, which is a very, very effective pin grip. One more time. If you're in on a double, you're in deep, you got there quickly, the opponent hasn't sprawled, you can pop your hips, raise them up in the air, get inside crotch, get half Nelson, put the knee nearer to his head down first, and then lower him to his back. You've got half Nelson crotch pin grip. If, when you attempt to do a body lift, the opponent is very sturdy and won't go up in the air, you can't get him airborne, and he's sprawling back, stretching back, fighting your lift, then you might be able to do what we call a Japanese cut. On the Japanese cut, what you're going to do is with your hand on the knee, you're going to do a cutting action, and with the arm up under the armpit, up near the lat area, you're going to do an action to dump them to the side where you're cutting. So at times, as a combo or an offshoot of the attempted lift, what you can do is a Jap cut. You're in on a double, you've tried to stand and lift, you won't go, he's fighting it, he's stretching way back, trying to sprawl back. You can cut at the knee area, hand behind his knee, your other arm goes up into the lat area, and you kind of cut and dump at the same time and get him off his base and follow up with whatever you sense is going to be effective. If, when you're attempting jab cut, he stretches way back and sprawls onto your head, he gets his body over your head, it would probably be tough to do a jab cut. So in this case, what we do is a far back heel take the knee. Vulnerable to exactly that. We get hand behind one calf, and our heel is behind the other leg, and we take him backward toward his butt, directly toward his butt, so he can't turn and whizzer, and we've got him a knee. One more time, facing the opposite direction. You went in on a double, you stood, you wanted to lift, then you were perhaps thinking about doing jab cut. Doesn't seem to be vulnerable to either. If he's stretching way back and covering your head, that puts him in a position of vulnerability to a far back heel, not a near back heel, as was done down on the mat, or will be done down on the mat, a far back heel. And we take it to knee. All right, now we'll do near back heel down on the mat. This is a basic move. Should have been done earlier in this series of completions to double, but we'll do it now. If you're in on a double and your opponent has not sprawled, all right, we're in on a double leg drop here, and as a very basic completion, if the opponent fails to sprawl, instead of dumping them or standing up, lifting them in the air, we can do a simple back heel. We step up on the near side, put heel behind heel, bump with our shoulder to dump him directly to his butt, and we raise our head up a little bit so the opponent, if he were to toss in a whizzer, wouldn't be able to scoot out from underneath us. We'd be able to trap and put him on his back. If the opponent doesn't toss a whizzer in, but happens to rotate inward with his hand up toward his own head, then what we can do is go after a near half Nelson, get off his leg, and finish with half Nelson crotch. So the back heel is a very basic, near back heel is a very basic completion to double leg drop. One more time. We're in on the double. We step up behind his heel with our heel. We bump with our shoulder to knock him to his butt. We raise our own head up so he wouldn't be able to scoot if he put a whizzer in. And if he happens to rotate inward with his hand in the air, then we'll look for a half Nelson. And we'll get off his leg, get inside crotch, and get half Nelson crotch pin grip. We're going to show single leg drop head in now. Again, you've got to drop the hips down vertically, take a short penetration step and a long glide in to get deep on the opponent's leg. And if he sprawls back but he doesn't spread his feet enough, you can do what we call dump with the head. Dump him off your shoulder using neck strength. And if he rotates in toward you, which probably he will do, then you come up over top and get a false half Nelson, keep the bottom knee, and you make it into what we call an ideal RC. When you have the bottom leg, to us that is ideal RC. When you have the top leg, when an opponent's on his hip, you have what is called RC, reverse cradle. One more time. If you shoot in on a single and the opponent sprawls back, but he doesn't sprawl with his feet spread enough, and your head is up enough, you can use neck strength to dump him off your shoulder. As soon as you dump him, he'll probably rotate in toward you, and you'll be able to put on what we call an ideal RC. If he were to have rotated outward, then you will have what's called Navy ride, lace ride, and Navy ride leads to pin grips. So either way, whether he rotates in or out, he's vulnerable to pin grips. All right, a second completion is single head in. If when you shoot in on a single, the opponent makes the mistake of sprawling to a knee, the beginner doesn't know how to sprawl well, what you can do is circle toward the target leg, hook the foot of that target leg with your heel, reach across and get far ankle. Even if the opponent has tossed a whizzer, an overhook grip in, the whizzer will be nullified by that far ankle grip. You can now crowd him to take him off his base and then work from there to try to put him on his back. One more time. If you shoot in on a single head in, and when you get in there on that single, the man sprawls back, but he sprawls to a knee. Then what you do is you circle toward the target leg a little bit, step up and hook with your heel, reach in for the far ankle, just on the possibility he's going to put a whizzer in, or he has a whizzer in, and then using that far ankle grip, you body him a little bit to take him off his base, and then you look to follow up with some sort of pin grip if one avails. A third completion to single leg drop. If you shoot in on a single and you dovetail out, you let your rear end swing to the outside, when your opponent turns to face, which would be a natural reaction, he makes himself vulnerable to double leg drop grip on the other side. You bring your head up to the other side and you dump him as you normally would on a double leg drop grip. One more time. Single leg drop with a little bit of dovetail action, where you swing your butt to the outside, probably will cause the opponent to react by pivoting to fascia. When he does that, you change off to a double. Step up and dump him, and then look for forearm or half Nelson to put him on his back. A fourth completion to single leg drop, head in. If you shoot in on a single, and he sprawls, but he happens to, as he sprawls, dangle his arm. You don't have to change off to a barrel, but you may. And what you'd have is what we call an outside barrel grip. You don't have the inside crotch grip that we showed earlier. You now have an outside barrel grip. Pull down in the arm, lift on the knee, high leg over, go up on the waist, run your feet around toward his feet, slip your head out, go in for two upper arms, pin grip. more time. Shoot in on a single. The opponent dangles the arm. You can change off to a barrel if you so choose. If you're a good barrel man, it might be wise. And you complete the barrel as you normally would. And as a slight variation of that last move, and a very effective takedown for those that are well able to execute it, from a tie-up position, if you have the inside grip, you have the barrel grip from standing, you can combine barrel and single action. Step to the outside, shoot in on the single, pull down on the arm, lift on the leg, and then dump the man off his base and attack him to try to get him on his back. And we call that a sweep barrel. It's sweep action, going in for the single leg drop grip, and it's a barrel grip that you started with, and it's barrel type action that you finish with to some degree. One more time, sweep barrel. You've got an inside tie up, step to the outside, glide in, dovetail out, pull down on the arm, lift on the leg, and go in aggressively looking for a pin grip. Another completion to single head in, and there are several completions to single head in, both down on the mat and up on the feet, not all of which we will show here on film. But another one right now that we will show is what we call back duck. When you shoot in on a single and the opponent sprawls and he's intent on stretching his leg back as much as he can to improve his sprawl position, what you can do is post a hand or an elbow for balance purposes and then do what we call back duck. You bring your elbow to the rear, let your head slip out from under, do duck under action, and come in behind it. It's similar to the loose out type action we did off double leg drop, somewhat similar to it. One more time, facing the opposite direction. If you're in on a single head in and the opponent sprawls pretty good and wants to stretch his leg back even further to improve his sprawl position, you can post an elbow or a hand for balance and then bring your elbow back to the rear and then slip your head out from under and up, doing duck under type action, loose out type action, and come in behind him and get a quick 2 points. Another completion to single head in, and this is done off what we call an offside single head in, where you feint action to one side and then execute actual action to the other side. And on this one, we spin way out to the rear. Now we're going to tap a forearm, going to step as we normally do on a single. We're going to penetrate and spin all the way to the rear. Once to the rear, we're going to shin block with one hand. The other hand stays on the ankle that we've got a hold of. We bump with our shoulder, and as he falls, we bring our hand up to the waist, and we have ankle and waist control ride to get us the 2 points taken. Again, facing the opposite direction. This is what we call offside single. You tap the forearm or wrist, step to the outside, penetrate to such an extent you can spin to the rear, shin block with one hand, bump with your shoulder, pick up on the near ankle, move your other arm up on his waist, and you have far ankle and waist control ride to get yourself to 2 points. Now if you shoot in on a single head in and the opponent sprawls only but a little bit, you might be able to step up and hook and take him back to Navy. We'll demonstrate that. Step in on a single, the opponent sprawls, faces you a little bit and sprawls, but not much. You step up behind his leg, take your hand and reach across, put the back of your hand behind his calf, and then dump him to his butt so that you can get a Navy ride. Navy ride leads to pin grips. Navy ride is worth achieving, attaining. All right, same action, same reaction by opponent. We get in on a single. The opponent has sprawled, but only a bit. We step up and we hook. We'd like to take him back to Navy, but he's resistant to that. He's leaning forward too much. What we do is we do a limp arm counter to his overhook. His overhook grip is called the wizard grip. We come out to the side, slip out from under him, and do limp arm action. Windmill our arm out from under, and come in behind, grab an ankle. One more time. Single head in. Opponent sprawls but a bit. We step up the hook. We'd like to take him back to Navy. He won't go. He's got too much weight forward. Instead, we take him forward. We accommodate him in his lean. And we do limp arm action, which is windmill action to get out of that whizzer and get our 2 points. All right, it's very common when in on a single leg drop head in that the opponent will put an overhook grip called a whizzer on as a defensive technique. And there are some things, of course, that he can do with that whizzer other than just prevent you from completing your takedown. But there are also some things you can do against the whizzer. And we're going to show now, since we're working on the offense aspect of matters, we're going to show now some things that you could work if you were in a whizzer against that whizzer. One basic move is to reach across and get far upper arm, pull in on the arm, and just swing the opponent around in front of you. You don't drive into him because you're allowed to go over him. You swing him around in front of you so he loses his balance, but you don't lose yours. One more time. Far upper arm. You just swing him around in front and put him on his back. Similar to that, instead of going for the far arm, if his head is down, you can go up over his head and get a deep false half, swallow that head with your arm, and then swing him around in front of you, put him on his back. Similar to that is what we call double trouble. On double trouble, you're going to go up over the head, and you're going to lock hands underneath his far armpit, and then swing him around in front of you. On all three, you bring the man around in front rather than drive in. One more time, double trouble. The deep false half we've shown earlier on film. Lock hands under his armpit area, swing him around in front, and he's well trapped on his back. You're likely to get a fall. You'll certainly get near fall. A fourth counter to whizzer, when you're parallel to him, hip to hip, is what we call standard roll under. He's got the whizzer on, you've got leg grip or waist grip. Ideally, you'd have the waist, you'd have more control of his hips with a waist grip. What you do is you reach across underneath for his far knee. The waist grip is going to lift him over you. The knee grip is going to lift him over you. And you bring your own outside knee in toward him as you would on any roll so as to more effectively execute the roll. When you finish, you'll have Navy ride. However, if the opponent keeps his whizzer in or it's caught in there and he's rotating outward, what you can do is let go of Navy, tilt your hip to the mat, step bottom leg first so he can't stop your top leg from coming over by using his leg to raise it up and stop you. And you get a deep false half on this side. Put him on his back. One more time, standard roll under. If you're in a whizzer and the opponent is parallel to you, hip to hip, and ideally you have the waist strap rather than the leg, what you can do is keep that waist strap, which will give you control of his hips. Reach underneath for his far knee, thumb in front. Bring your outside knee in to effectively execute the roll action. When you get on the other side, you'll have Navy ride. If, however, he has his whizzer still in, it's either there by his desire or it's stuck there, he can't get his whizzer out in time, you can forget the Navy ride, take your arm out, tilt your hip a little bit so you can step bottom leg first so that your top leg will clear and you can't prevent it from coming over, and you go after deep false half and put him on his back. All right, some more counters to whizzer type. As an additional counter to whizzer from the parallel position, and actually you have to circle to the rear a little extra, you reach in from behind crotch on that near side so you can lock your hands and then do roll under action. When you come out on the other side, you come to your knees and look for a Navy. That's your basic. One more time. You're in the whizzer. You circle to the rear. You reach under from the rear. Lock fingers, lock hands, and then do roll under action. as soon as you can, you look for Navy ride grip. From that same position, if the opponent is drilling you, he's trying to put your nose into the mat, you watch his far knee, and if his far knee comes up off the mat, you do a step across, get your heel up in the groin area as much as you can, and get a far grapevine grip on it as a counter move. And then you grab the near wrist, the whizzer wrist, the wrist of the whizzer arm, and try not to roll under. You go across your back only if need be. Instead, you lean back and try to ease him over to his back. It'll be hard to pin him because of your own body propping him up a little bit, but you'll get control points and you'll get near fall. Again, facing another direction. If your opponent has a whizzer on and he's drilling you, and his far knee comes off the mat as he drills, you might be able to step up across and get a far grape in. And as soon as you get that grape in, then you look to get a grip on his wrist and lean back and bring him to his back. You don't roll across your own back unless you sense the need. You also have to make sure you don't pin yourself in the process. A very basic and important counter to whizzer is limp arm. We're going to face a certain direction here so that the action can be more readily seen. If the opponent has a whizzer on and you're able to hook his near leg, what we do is what we call a diagonal bump. Just as a distraction, we bump him on an angle and we turn palm up, bring our hand down toward his rump, and then slip our arm out of that whizzer. We bring the elbow out first. One more time, facing this direction, and we'll do it facing the very opposite direction. All right, we've got a leg hook, and the opponent has the whizzer. We're going to do a diagonal bump as a distraction, turn palm up, bring our hand down toward his rump, bring our elbow out, windmill our arm around so that we can reach back and maybe get his far ankle if need be to avoid another whizzer coming in or to nullify its presence. One more time. Face a certain direction and do the limp arm. He's got the whizzer. We managed to get a leg hook. We bump him on an angle to distract him. Loosen his whizzer perhaps, turn palm up, bring our hand down around toward his rump, and then we bring our elbow out, we'll windmill our arm around to the rear, get an ankle. In the event he's going to put another whizzer in, we have nullified his grip. All right, we've worked on double leg drop and some other takedowns, and single leg drop among them, and barrel roll among them. And now what we'll work on is single head out. On single head out is on the double and single head in. We get our hips to go down vertically, and then we take a short step and glide in there and get some penetration. We try to get deep on that leg and pull that leg into our chest so that we can deepen with our outside arm, elbow deep, go across and change it to a double, step up and dump as we normally would on a double. One more time. Single head out. Step to the outside after lowering our hips. We get our penetration. Once we get one, we pull it into our chest, deepen with our outside arm, change to a double, step up and dump, and look for far arm or half Nelson to try to get a near fall or pin grip. Another completion for single head out. We get in on a single head out, and our opponent is strong in his sprawl. He's got a lot of weight on our shoulder. It's going to be tough to pull that leg in, tough to get to a double. What we'll do is do a loose out. We'll sit through to the outside and remove our shoulder as a support for his sprawl and come in behind him. One more time. Single head out. We get in there deep, but our opponent's sprawl is pretty good. He's very strong, and his sprawl is such that we can't pull that one leg in. We consider sitting through to the outside doing what we call loose out. Now, in the process of doing that sort of completion, the opponent probably will, at least should, step across to try to catch us when we're tilting our hips there. So when we go in and he sprawls and we sit through, as he steps across, we go with him and come out the back door and come up into control position. One more time from a different angle. Shoot the single head out. Opponent sprawls. We tempt the loose out. He steps across. We go with him, holding onto the leg the whole time. Come out the back door and get control points. Another completion. We're going to stand with the, we'll stay down on the mat again. On this single head out, the opponent has sprawled and worked his way into a perpendicular position. And what we're going to do when he gets to that perpendicular position, use a very basic move where we pull the leg under and then do a step across. Step high across to the other side and look to switch to a Navy ride grip. One more time. It's a beginner's move. We don't put a lot of emphasis on it. But if the opponent does get to a perpendicular position, before he starts to work us over with cross-face action, we pull his leg under, take him off his base, and do a high step across. To go to something exotic from that very same movement, if you're in a desperate state and about, and/or you think it's workable for you, when you do your step across, instead of doing it properly, you actually do a flip. You go to your back on the step across and switch grips. You let go of the one leg, grab the other, grab the head, and get a Peterson cradle. Back cradle, we call it. One more time. Single head out, the opponent sprawls, he's in a perpendicular position. Instead of doing a standard step across, we do more like a flip. We go to our back, let go of the one leg we had, grab the other leg, grab the head, lock our hands in what's called a Peterson cradle, a back cradle. If in on a single leg drop and the choice is to stand with that single leg drop, we teach two basic moves, the first of which is run the pike. We get in deep, stand, and we quickly go into a run the pike action before the opponent can counter move us with drag. We have single head out, whether down on the mat or up on the feet, we're vulnerable to a counter drag action by the opponent. One more time, single head out, we're in deep, we stand, we do a run the pike action, bring the opponent to the mat, he goes down, we come down later, and we get control points. Or when we stand with that leg, we can go up and get a body control grip with one arm and do an arch back, a heave-ho action to the rear. So we're in on the single, we stand with it, and we heave-ho to the rear. We get our control as we bring him to the mat. One more time. Single head out. We're in deep, we stand, we get some body control of his hips as well as the leg, and we just do an arch back, a heave-ho to the rear, and we come down on him late, we get control points. Those are some single head out completions. An old offense move from kneeling is a snap down. And a snap down is only effective if your opponent has either his hand underneath your arm or it's in midair. If he has his arm over top, if he drapes it up over top, he's not snappable. But if he has his hand underneath or his hand is in the air, you can push into him a little bit. As he resists and pushes back, you start into your snap down. You bring him down toward your knee and away to the side. And as you bring him through, you let your hand flow against his face so he can't pivot to face. So we drive up into him a little bit to get him to resist and push his own body forward. When he comes forward that little bit, we use that momentum, bring him down into the side, let our hand go alongside his face so he can't pivot to face us, and we spin him behind and get 2 easy points. Facing another direction. We've got collar and tricep. He's vulnerable to the snap down. We push into him a little bit. As he resists, we go with him, bring him down into the side, let our back of hand go into a cross-face type action so he can't pivot to face us. Our other hand on that tricep prevents him from raising his arm up, so he's vulnerable to our spin behind. We get an easy 2 points. Another takedown, supplé. Supplé is basically a freestyle move, but there are moments in scholastic style wrestling where you'll get the opportunity, so you should at least know the move. And for some people, it'll be a good move for them. It'll bring more than a few points during the season. You get a double overhook. You lock hands. It's against a body lock type grip that we do it. You lock hands, and then you're going to ultimately step between each of his feet. You step in on the side your head's on. Your other foot's going to come in and do elevator action as you sit and arch back to toss it. And you finish with the supplé grip. You stay with that unless you sense there's some good reason for a change off. And if there's to be a change off, it'll be to headlock grip. One more time, supplé. You've got a double overhook against his body lock grip or his attempted body lock grip. And you're going to step between his feet. Your other foot comes in and does elevator action as you sit, start to arch back some to throw him. And you stay with the supplé grip unless you sense there's a need to change off or a good reason to change off, and then you'd look for a headlock, which is an excellent pin grip. We're going to show lateral drop, but we're going to show it as part of what we call lateral drop series, a series of moves from the same type. Preceding that, we'll show a pancake, our standard pancake. There are lots of different types of pancakes, but the most basic pancake is from a down position such as you see, and you just dump the man off to the side. That's all pancake really amounts to, is just a dump to the side. Now, a lateral drop is nothing more than an exotic pancake. It is an exotic pancake. It's a pancake from standing. It's a little fancier because it's from standing. Both men are in the same position. They each have the same grip, an under and an over. An under on one side, an overhook on the other. And so either one could do it. We're going to show the basic lateral drop, the one that we teach. We simply step in front of our opponent's foot, and then we sit and bring our other foot in and elevate with that foot. And we finish with a standard 2 upper arms tie-up. One more time from a different angle. We've got the over and the underhook grip, each of us. We step in front, not on, in front of our opponent's foot, turning our toes to the outside. We have a very good overhook grip that we tighten just as we're ready to go. That's the more important grip, more important than the underhook grip actually. And then we bring the other foot in and put it in an elevator position, in and behind, inside and behind the opponent's leg, and elevate them, and we wind up with 2 upper arm grip. Now, another move that one has to be concerned with from that up position is lateral trip. Each man could possibly do a lateral trip. It would put the man on his back in that same 2 upper arms tie-up, and it's a matter of strength and balance as to which one gets the points, because when the step across occurs, both men are in the exact same position. So it's just balance of strength to see who can bring the other down to his back. Bring him down. Okay. So you always want to be wary of lateral trip. Each man has to try to keep his legs back, and because each man is keeping his legs back, each man is somewhat vulnerable, more so, to lateral drop itself. So one more time, lateral trip. Lateral trip, we do a step across, and we bring the man across to the side. Bring him around to the side. Another move in the series, we circle toward our overhook grip. We squat, we get a hold of a knee, pick that knee up to the outside, and do an inside back trip, and come down between our opponent's legs and crowd him, and that'll give us control points and perhaps even near fall points. One more time. Different angle. We circle toward our overhook grip side, squat, get the opponent's knee in our hand, pick it up to the outside, do an inside back trip, come down between his legs, crowd him, get near fall points as well as takedown points, hopefully. If as we circle to that overhook side and squat and reach in for the knee, the opponent stretches his leg back so he can't have it, that causes him to be leaning forward, makes him vulnerable to lateral drop itself. We change back to lateral drop. We take advantage of the fact that he's leaning forward and vulnerable and hit the lateral drop. One more time. Circle to the overhook side, squat, reach in for the knee. He stretches his leg back so we can't have it. We come back up and get the arm, step in, turn our toes to the outside, elevate with our other foot, and put him on his back into upper arms. When lateral drop works well, it looks great. It is not a high probability success move for most people though, and so it's a dangerous move to be attempted for some. We're going to circle toward the overhook side, and we're going to get what we call a diagonal body lock and step around to the rear, side rear of our opponent and do a diagonal trip. So we'll circle, we get a body lock, get a knee or a leg behind his leg, and then we just dump him to the rear. Okay, one more time. We've got lateral drop grip. We circle to the overhook side quickly, get a diagonal body lock, get a leg behind his leg to block him stepping, face us, and diagonally take him to the rear with trip action. Another move